Joining us tonight is someone very familiar with the national security strategy here in the U.S. We have retired Air Force Special Operations pilot Major Glenn Ignazio. It's always good to see you. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Good to see you as well. Thank you.
To start off on this, is this an actual redeployment of military assets, or is this more of a symbolic message meant to send a warning to Moscow?
Well, it's actually a balance of two, because most of our boomers, that we would say, which are nuclear-tipped submarines, are always out there. Their job is to disappear, and they're usually around our adversaries like Russia and everything. So those are out there already. But what can happen is these fast attack submarines, which are much more conventional, these are the ones that launch the Tomahawks and so forth, they may be moved as appropriately to get close to that area. But in all honesty, it's a lot of words. Actions may be things are already there, but it's actually contradicting, or at least going against Medvedev, who is very, very vocal. And this is a good way to counter his comments, which are inflammatory, of course.
You've worked in classified military operations. How unusual is it for a U.S. president to publicize submarine movements like this? And does that clue us into the intention behind it?
Yeah, I mean, usually it's not. But the idea of saying, hey, we're going to move submarines closer, well, submarines are already closer. So again, it's a lot of rhetoric. It does bring things and escalates things. I think it does to a lot more people, the citizens of the United States and the citizens of Russia. Russia now is realizing, hey, the United States is not backing down. Medvedev had a lot of vocal and very aggressive things in the prior administration, and he thinks it's going to carry through where this administration is not just going to sit. They're going to counter it. So not normal to say, hey, these submarines are going and their locations are going to be classified as well. But again, we have a lot of nuclear-tipped submarines in the area as well already.
For our viewers who may not be familiar with how our nuclear deterrence works, do our submarines actually need to be moved in order to pose a credible threat to Russia?
Actually, no. The submarines, like we're talking about, that we call boomers, they are the ones that have actually the kind of the ballistic missiles, the ones that are nuclear tipped. Their job is to go out there and to hide. And they're deployed a majority of the time all around the world to counter things like Russia or China or anybody that has a nuclear capability. So again, those are already out there. They have the ability to launch these missiles from really anywhere in the world to hit those particular sites. Hopefully, this is part of the nuclear triad, the submarines. You have the intercontinental missiles that are launched from the United States and the aircraft that we use, the triad. So this is one of the things that can be put in place. They're one of the most dangerous. And hopefully he's talking about those fast attack, which is more conventional. And hopefully we would get to something like that before we would go to nuclear anyways.
Yeah, Trump justifying this decision by calling Medvedev's words provocative and foolish. How dangerous is it when global leaders start trading threats openly on social media, especially those with nuclear capabilities?
It's always dangerous. And in all honesty, as much of it can be rhetoric and political prowess and so forth, you can never, ever ignore this as a possibility of being a true, realistic threat. You know, the threat of 5 to 10 days or so forth against Russia because of the Ukraine thing. Well, yeah, Russia can stop and have a ceasefire overnight. That's not a problem. These 5 to 10 days are also these tariffs, or at least these sanctions that would hit India and China. It would be devastating to Russia's economy. But again, these are realistic. These are things that are happening, and hopefully it's rhetoric, but we can never, ever ignore the threat, regardless.
What kind of signal does this send to other nuclear powers like China or North Korea, who are certainly watching how we respond to perceived threats?
I believe it's definitely one of the things of more of strength through superior firepower. That's sort of a cliche, but it really is that the United States is not going to mess around, that the Trump administration is going to respond to threats accordingly. Now, this is something that's important because as we see China's activities in Taiwan, they're going to be paying attention to this, of course, more often to say, hey, look it, when he says something, something's actually happening. This is, again, not political prowess. This is in retaliation to activities. And that's something that China, I think, would be paying attention to, as they have caused a lot of hostilities and a lot of oppression within the Taiwan region. So they are watching this very closely.
Major Glenn Ignazio, always appreciate you coming on. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Take care, Natasha.
You too. All right.